This video has been a long time coming. I'll give you guys the big announcement right up front. I started a new channel called Nintendine Plus. If you're not interested in the news, you just want to hear about the gaming memories, the retrospectives, the random Let's Play videos, and other miscellaneous stuff like top 10s, I would subscribe to that channel. Over the course of the next few days, I'm going to be moving some of the content that's on this channel over to that one, so you might see a combination of repeated videos on that channel as well as some new original stuff. If you want the full Nintendine experience, you're going to want to subscribe to both channels because, realistically speaking, I don't know if I'm going to hit one video per day on both channels, but I will still be doing at least one video per day. Now, this is primarily coming off of the back of my Remembering Rareware video that I uploaded yesterday. This might sound arrogant, but I personally feel like that video deserves a lot more attention than it would get on this channel at the moment. And I want to make a lot more videos like that, remembering various publishers, remembering various franchises, and the way the algorithm works. If it sees that most of my subscribers are not watching that stuff, they're not going to push it to more people. So this way, if you're somebody that's only interested in the gaming side of things, I would go over to Nintendine Plus. If you're more interested in the business side of things, the corporate side of things, the scrutiny against the industry type of videos that I've been doing, I would stay over here. If you want both, subscribe to both. As far as the previous daily retrospectives that I was doing before April, I can no longer guarantee that I'm going to continue on that format. It served me well for a solid 5 or 6 months, but it is just way too taxing to try to keep up with it. And I think I was putting unnecessary pressure on myself by trying to make sure I got videos out every day at 11 AM. I will be finishing up the Mario Galaxy 2 retrospective. I'm still playing through the Green Stars, that's taken me forever. But after that, I don't know if I'm going to do daily retrospectives anymore. There will still be retrospectives. I will still mostly be covering Nintendo games from my youth. But realistically speaking, each game will just get one longer video instead of a bunch of short 10-minute ones. At least that's my plan for now. If that changes in the future, as long as you're subscribed to Nintendine Plus, you'll figure that out. So basically, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about YouTube, and more specifically, toxicity. It's not really a surprise to anybody by this point, but if you have a negative title or negative content, it seems to do really well on this platform. Even if the entire video is just a neutral, level-headed discussion, that clickbaity spin on things seems to really garner attention. For example, a lot of you probably clicked on my video because of the thumbnail. Some people are probably commenting on this video, calling me a grifter and a rage baiter without watching anything else in the video. They're probably thinking I'm just being smug, probably calling me a fake grifter and implying that I'm gonna go buy the Switch 2 and they knew all along. But realistically speaking, this is more or less a video about how happy I am with the way the channel has grown, and why I think the specific reason that it has grown is very useful. I don't consider myself that ignorant. I will say that there are many topics that I am ignorant on, but I'd like to think that I've kept myself somewhat informed throughout my life. But I've always had a blind spot, and it was very clearly Nintendo. I don't think I've ever necessarily gotten to the point where I became a puppet and assumed that they could do no wrong, but there was definitely a lot of leeway granted to them because they were and are my favorite gaming company. Primarily because so many of my gaming memories are built off of the back of their titles. I never really thought much about the economic side of things. I never really thought too much about their psychological warfare when it comes to their advertisement, nor about too many of their dirty business practices. All I know is that their logos always made me feel warm and comfortable, and for the most part, they've continued to do so. There is definitely a change in the vibe that I currently feel. And for me, it's clearly hit with the Switch 2. Throughout the life cycle of the Switch 1, I've slowly felt a transition away from the Nintendo that I knew and loved. But I think everything that I've discussed from the reveal of the Switch 2 until today has kind of cemented my opinion that this is a new age of Nintendo. Now, many of you will be correct in pointing out that Nintendo has turned and became an evil company a long time ago. Whether it was the way they attacked the rental companies in the late 80s and early 90s, all of their trigger-happy lawsuits over the past couple of decades, or their inability to not shut down any passionate fan project even if it was done by a child. And I will gladly yield that you are correct. Nintendo has been anti-consumer for a very long time, but I didn't quite feel the gravity of it until the launch of the Switch 2, and specifically throughout the past couple of months while I did so much research. And I'm actually kind of proud of it because now I don't have to feel like I am blindly following and praising Nintendo. Because I never want to be the person that blindly follows and praises any specific corporation, specifically one that is bad for the customers as well as for their employees. Yeah, they might be one of the best companies to work for in Japan, but they have more employees than just the ones in Japan. And now that I've separated my two channels, I think I'm able to comfortably enjoy all of the games that I grew up playing, whether they were on Nintendo or on a different console, while separately being able to tackle the more difficult discussions to be had. Right? Because nobody wants to criticize something that they love, something that they enjoy so much. That's part of the reason so many people have an issue with all this negative backlash towards the Nintendo Switch 2. Because genuinely, I get it. You hear somebody go after Nintendo and you're like, well, Sony does the same thing. And then you hear somebody go after Sony and you're like, well, it's not just the gaming industry, it's the whole world. There's a sense of defense, a sense of obligation towards these companies because there's such an attachment towards all of the memories that they've given us. And it's not all bad. I think the passion is very good. It's very important. The reason gaming as an industry is as large as it is today is because of that passion, that love we have for video games. And even more so, it's because of nostalgia that makes us so connected, so intertwined with these memories we had, in some cases as children, and in other cases even as adults. I was already in my 30s when I started this YouTube channel. And yet, despite all of my real-world responsibilities, one of my favorite hobbies over the past 4 years was this channel. I spent time making videos, writing scripts, learning software that I have no idea how to use, and I'm still not even that good at it, even though I had no audience. In the beginning, I was just me clicking on the video and rewatching it and being like, yeah, that sounds good. One day somebody will go back and watch it over. And I did it out of passion for the game. I made Mario Party retrospectives where I talked about every single item and every single board in those games. Do you understand how insane that is? I was writing these long scripts for Sonic retrospectives and pretending I was one of like the main Sonic content creators. Like, that's psychotic to an extent. But it is so fun. It's the passion that I have for the game that makes me do those things. And I imagine it's that same passion that makes people look at my new style of videos and my criticism towards the industry and just angers them to no end. And it's that same passion that makes me so critical of the company that is making the games that I love, of the industry that I love. And I think, hypothetically speaking, it could be very healthy that we have this back and forth. And I say hypothetically because obviously there's just an endless amount of toxicity that follows these types of conversations. But I think despite the toxicity, despite the backlash, despite how people may feel about these different discussions, I've completely shifted gears on my view of gaming. I've made a bunch of statements over the past month that I don't intend on buying video games anymore, and specifically I don't intend on giving any dollars to Nintendo anymore. Not without some major changes. And that major change could be them backpedaling on their practices for the Switch 2. At the start of all of this, it was just, hey, lower the price and I'll buy in, but now I don't even know if that'll get me to buy in. I've had my eyes open to some things that I never really used to think about before. The right to own a game. The right to own a console without worrying about it being bricked remotely. The right to take Nintendo to court in case they give you faulty hardware again. And not having random features being taken away from me during a forced update. I've slowly reached the point where if Nintendo was to come out and say that they dropped the price $100 and absolutely nothing else changed, I don't think I could buy in. I might be able to buy used, for example, but even then, it would be such a hurdle to try to make sure I don't give any money to Nintendo throughout the lifespan of the Switch 2. You know, during the Wii U and the early days of the Switch, they were nice to us to an extent, and more so during the Wii U because they had to get us to buy in. But even while they were nice, they were still doing a lot of these scummy practices. That's why every time I make a video, somebody points out, well, yeah, that was the same when they were on the Wii U. That was the same on the 3DS. Why does it matter now? Well, it matters to me now because I've become aware of it. Are humans not allowed to learn stuff and change their opinions based off of what they learned? Gaming today is very different than it was 10 years ago. And some practices were more difficult to get away with 10 years ago and much easier now. And some practices were actually easier to get away with 10 years ago as opposed to now. And 10 years ago, people were 10 years younger. I was in my mid-20s fresh out of college. I didn't give a crap. Some people watching this video were like 12 at the time, and now they're in their early 20s. It's important for this stuff to be verbalized. Just because injustices occurred in previous console generations does not mean they should continue to occur going forward. Just because Sony does something worse than Nintendo, it doesn't mean that Nintendo shouldn't be held accountable for doing something bad. The past was in the past, and it's led to today. And what we do today will determine tomorrow. It'll determine the future. And if you love gaming right now and you only think for yourself, then by all means, enjoy your games. That's what most people do anyway. You're not special. But between digital rights, game preservation, and all the fun little anti-customer practices that are being conducted throughout the industry, I've decided that I am going to dedicate my time to fight against these things. I'm not starting a foundation or anything, at least not yet. And I'm not going to be telling everybody, let's go march to Washington. But I plan on continuing to tackle a lot of these more difficult topics that people want to ignore. And I'm not doing this for myself. I'm doing this for an industry that I love. An industry that I want future generations to love. And look, I realize many people are going to hear this and be like, well, don't you know this is going on in the world and that industry is worse and this is just entertainment and it's just video games? And I get that. I really do. But I'm a gamer. I make video game content. That's the stuff that I know. That's the stuff that I'm comfortable with. And there are hundreds, if not thousands of people around the world that are pushing back against some of those more important practices. And many of you don't know me. You don't know where I stand politically. You don't know my beliefs. And that's intentional because it's none of your business. Part of my rights as a human is that I don't need to go online and tell you guys what I think about every single thing so that you can just X me out or give me a thumbs up because I agree or disagree with you. This is a Nintendo channel. I talk about video games. But for all any of you know, I could be somebody that is active in various other humanitarian efforts. I could be somebody that donates to things that are for the greater good. You don't know that. And you won't know that because this is a gaming channel. So I am here to talk about the gaming industry, as well as talking about the games that I love, which is now going to be shifted over to Nintendine Plus. And look, in the meantime, I'm still going to be hyper-focused on Nintendo and what they do, even if other parties in the industry do worse than them. Because again, that's what I know. Those are the forums that I'm involved in. Those are the videos I watch, the content creators. I watch Nintendo stuff, but I think as time goes on, I will grow and I will discuss more things related to the greater gaming industry. I don't even know what Good Old Games was until a few days ago. I don't even have a Steam account. I've never felt the need to go and purchase anything on a PC because I always had my game console in front of me and it was getting the job done. But apparently Gabe Newell is like the gaming messiah, and now all of a sudden my interest is piqued. Maybe I will get a Steam Deck. I just don't feel like I need one at the moment, and that's the reason why I haven't bought one yet, even though so many of you have recommended it to me over the past month or so. But it definitely has caught my eye. A lot of these things have caught my attention. I've been binge watching Louis Rossmann for the past couple of weeks. I didn't care about this crap before, but now I care so much more about it, and everything that I've learned, my brain immediately applies it to the gaming industry. And I just hope that since I have this platform, since I have so many people that are interested in my voice for whatever reason, to use that voice for the betterment of the gaming industry to the best of my ability. So yeah, some of you might think that my content is negativity. I view it as nothing but positive. Some of you might be calling me a hater, a rage baiter, a grifter. That's fine. I don't make much off of ad revenue and I have no sponsors. This is my hobby. At least for now anyway. Who knows what the future holds. But I am very passionate about this direction that I'm taking, and I'm hoping to deliver the type of discussions that you guys all want to see. I promise you it won't all be down and depressing, and I'll try to lighten up on some of the sad music or angry music in the background noise. But I think the difficult topics need to be tackled, and I'm hoping to tackle them to my best of my ability. Either way, I just kind of wanted to address that. Thank you all for helping this channel grow to what it's become. Subscribe to Nintendine Plus if you don't care about this side of things and you want to only hear about the gaming. Whether it's on this channel or that one, I will catch you guys on the next one.